Alright, here we are, 3.2c. We're going to talk about, let's see, this is the last video. Should be pretty short. Talking about horizontal and vertical lines. Again, we're talking about the rectangular coordinate system with x and y coordinates. We talked about the definition of a linear equation and graphing linear equation in two variables by plotting points. That was A. Our B was x and y intercepts, and that'll be really helpful. If you haven't seen this 3.2b, that's going to be really helpful in interpreting these graphs. And today, this video is going to talk about horizontal and vertical lines. So let's kind of fast forward through what we've seen before. We've seen all this stuff. We're going to fast forward through it. Seen it all. If you haven't seen it, if you don't recognize it, then go back and watch those other videos. So let's talk about horizontal and vertical lines. So remember that our equation for a line is ax plus by equals c. And again, if it's a linear equation, meaning the power is 1, and an equation because it's got an equal sign. But if a or b is equal to 0, then we've got a kind of a special situation. So, for example, if a is equal to 0, then essentially that term goes away. That ax term goes away because 0 times whatever value for x we put in there is still going to be 0, and that term goes away. And we're left with just by equals c, or by the rules of algebra that we learned in chapter 1, then y equals c divided by b, or just really y is equal to a number. So if a is equal to 0, then y is equal to a number. And we have kind of an example like this. Y is equal to 3. So this would still be a line. It kind of fits into our linear equation in two unknowns, because a is equal to 0, that term goes away, and we've got this y equals some number. So if y equals 3, then we can kind of graph a down and dirty way of graphing this line by setting up a kind of a t-table here with x's and y's. So let's just for fun put in x equals -1, x equals 0, x equals +1, and see what kind of values for y we get out. Well, if x equals -1, well, this equation really doesn't care what x is equal to, because that's always multiplied by 0. So y equals 3. That's our kind of down and dirty, easy way to do it. If x equals 0, 0 times 0 is 0, and then y equals 3. And the same thing holds true for x equals 1. Well, this equation doesn't really care what x is equal to, it's just y is equal to 3. So here we've got 3 different points. I got -1, 3, -1 in the x direction, 1, 2, 3 in the y direction. There's our first point. And we've got 0 in the x direction, +3 there. And we've got 1, 3, 1 in the x direction, and +3 there. So there's our 3 points. And we can, I guess, graph that and use a kind of a freehand drawing like that. Not too bad, I guess, for our line y is equal to 3. So there's our line, y is equal to 3. And the way to think about this is a horizontal line. So if you take this y and you kind of turn it around, kind of rotate it like that, you get the y kind of turned around, so it kind of looks like that. So if you take that y and kind of turn it around, it kind of looks like that. If you take that y, this thing here, and kind of turn it around, it kind of looks like that. So if y is equal to a number, then you've got this kind of funky looking symbol that you can kind of turn around. You can kind of think that, oh yeah, that's right. Let's see if we can make that an h. And remind ourselves that, oh, by the way, if we've got y is equal to some number, and that's all we got, then you can take that y, turn it around, and make a kind of a funky looking symbol here and say, oh, that's a horizontal line. That's kind of a mnemonic device. Mnemonic device. That thing right there. The y is equal to 3 means you can turn that around, make it a horizontal line, and sure enough, that's a horizontal line. Alright, well, by the same token, I guess, we can kind of go to a vertical line, or a different line, let's say. Remember, if we started with ax plus by equals 0, and if b is equal to 0, then that term goes away, and we're left with just some number. A times x equals some other number, and we'd have x equal to a number itself. If this were not equal to 0, we could have x equal to 3, for example. So if we've got x equal to 3, then let's try and graph that one. Well, if y is equal to a number was a horizontal line, well, x equal to 3, well, I'm betting that this is probably going to be not horizontal, but probably a vertical line. Let's plug in some numbers here for y, because y we can change a little bit, because x is always equal to negative, or sorry, positive 3. So if y is equal to negative 1, well, x equal to 3. If y equals 0, then this line doesn't care what y is equal to, x equal to 3, x is always equal to 3. If y is equal to 1, well, this line doesn't care what y is equal to, x is always just equal to 3. So there's our our points that we can kind of just graph in a down and dirty way and say, there's 3 points. So let's graph over here. 3 in the x direction, 1, 2, 3, negative 1 in the y direction, there's our first point. Second point, 3, 0, 3, 1, 2, 3 in the x direction, and 0 in the y direction, no rise. And then the last point, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3 in the x direction, and 1 in the y direction. And sure enough, there is our, what looks like, see if I can do this one as well, pretty close. Looks like a vertical line. So it's not horizontal. Horizontal, remember, is kind of like the horizon. This one is a vertical line. So if you've got x equals 3, then you have a vertical line. And the way to remember it might be, well, if you've got x is equal to 3, you can kind of cut off that part right down here and throw it away and say that, oh, there, it looks like a V. So there we got a V, means vertical. That's not as good, I don't think, as the other one. So the other one's probably the one to remember. If you've got the y equals, you can kind of turn it around and make it a horizontal line. So therefore, horizontal means you've got a y equals. Vertical means you've got, oh, I guess if you wanted to extend this over here, you could have an x equal to, again, mnemonic device. Either way, there you go. There's two different things, horizontal and vertical lines. All right, we'll see you in class.